Mariners get a frustrating close loss versus the Yankees to drop the series overall. Yeah, really frustrating. I'm going to go through all the details. We're going to talk about the offense. We're going to talk about George Kirby and what was different in this start. And then we're going to talk about Jerry DePoto's comments after the Colt Emerson extension. So lock in, baby. Welcome to Mariners Daily. My name is Sam Edwards. Thanks so much for joining me on the episode here. First off, this game recap, losing 5-3 to the Yankees. I mean, man, this is just like a stupid loss. This is one that we should have won, honestly. And that's not because the Yankees are an easy team to face by any means, but we had stuff going on. We had things go our way, and yet we still got unlucky. Yeah, there's a couple things. I mean, the game starts off with Cal challenging a strike call that was like clearly a ball, like one of the worst, honestly, that I've seen so far. Way off, couple of inches below the zone. This pitch, Cal challenged it as he was catcher in the beginning of this game. If you weren't watching it. So that was kind of crazy, but obviously the first starts off with Donovan with a leadoff double, and you're like, okay, well maybe our offense can get going. But no, Cal and Julio both strike out. And that is kind of, an early storyline for this team. So frustrating, really annoying. Uh, but also at the same time, it's just like this is what baseball is. We're 7 games in, and yeah, our stars are not hitting right. Batters 2, 3, and 4, freaking Cal, Julio, and Naylor are not coming through right now. I did want to shout out Mitch underscore Seattle on Twitter here. If we're going to talk about the heart of the order, let's talk about the heart of the issue, baby. Yeah, he put out a tweet in the middle of yesterday's game, so it wasn't at the end, I don't believe. So these aren't like the ending stats. No, they are. They are the ending stats because Game 7, he's got Game 7 there. Yeah, he basically painted the picture of Mariners 2, 3, and 4 hitters. Which once again, Raleigh, Julio, Naylor, they were 0 for 11 in game 1, 0 for 11 in game 2, 2 for 11 in game 3, 1 for 12 in game 4, 1 for 13 in game 5, 2 for 11 in game 6, and 1 for 12 in game 7. The total is 6 for 78 with a 0.077 batting average. That is rough, man. Really rough. And listen, it's not all bad. Cal had that clutch hit in the 8th inning to score 2 runs, He did get that done. He did come through on some level. I know throughout that game and throughout this season so far, he's not done much offensively. Cal is 4 for 25 on the season of 160 batting average. Obviously, the strikeouts are a huge thing as well. Now we know strikeouts are a part of his game. We know that's how he is as a player. We knew he wasn't going to repeat what he did in 2025, but that doesn't mean a slow start right now isn't just a little bit annoying, a little bit frustrating. Losing games that it feels like you could have easily won because of the offense. The offense is just not able to get it done. And I will say, like, it's not like we got lucky in everything else, and it's not like our pitching was top tier necessarily. Like, there's little tweaks that could be made to win this game for sure. Um, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. Leaving Criswell in the game in the 9th inning when we were down 4-2, and especially right after we scored the runs, it was like, so we can't, throw somebody in that's a little bit better, with Ben Rice up with the dish. Like Rice has been killing it against us. Can we sub in our long relief guy for another option? Just somebody else. I know Criswell has done well so far, but my gosh, I mean, our expectations are on the floor. So like, yeah, he's doing well relative to what our expectations were, but him out of the game. He pitched a good 8th. Okay, take him out of the game. Take him out of the freaking game and put in somebody else. I mean, Munoz was available. We have a rest day today. So, like, whoever you're putting in there, they're going to have a day off the next day. So, like, rest isn't necessarily the thing. Bringing Criswell in the 8th inning made sense. What, we were down 4-0? Yeah, makes sense. Bring in Criswell, sure, whatever, you know? Probably gonna lose this game, and then we score 2. Then we show some life. Cal, has a clutch hit. Okay, let's encourage the team a little bit. Let's put somebody out there that's going to put down a shutdown 9th inning and go back out there and score some more runs. Now, and obviously it did happen. Canzone gets that hit to score Randy, and it's like, okay, I mean, we're doing something. It's like the offense can still get stuff done despite Raleigh, Rodriguez, and Naylor. Um, barely being able to get it done. And I put the word barely there because Cal did come through in that base hit in the 8th. So it's like hard for me to like just tank the whole group right now. And I also don't want to jump on the bandwagon. There's a lot of negativity out there. Lot of negativity. And I'm not trying to feed into that. It's frustrating. I get it. Team is not playing at the top of its game, and we know that it can. But I think the life that we've seen in this group from last year, and now the additions that we've made this offseason, and I think what we've seen even early on in the season is that we are still making good contact and we are seeing guys step up when we need them to. Or sorry, we're seeing guys step up that normally last year wouldn't be. Those spots in the order would not be stepping up. It just wouldn't be happening. It'd be a much worse situation. We wouldn't be getting leadoff doubles from Brendan Donovan. And I know what you're saying. It doesn't matter if we don't let him score there, but it does matter. It does, because who knows? Because it could be the 3rd inning and there could be a man on base. We could have freaking JB Crawford, who we'll get to at the end of this episode. JB Crawford could be on first base and it could be a double down the line. It's like it does matter. I know it was a leadoff hit and it doesn't matter in that inning because nothing came of it because of our middle of the order. But yeah, it's I understand. I understand things you're saying, but it does matter. Donovan making good contact, getting on base, it does matter because our bats will come through, and we know Julio, Raleigh, and Naylor are good hitters that are going to come through. Only 7 games in, guys. Take a breath. Let's talk about George Kirby here. Talk about the pitch usage. Talk about what changed from this start. Sorry, from last start to this start. First off, let's go over the stat line. 6 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. He had 6 whiffs, not that many, a 20 CSW percentage over 89 pitches. Now, 89 pitches, 6 innings pitched. That sounds pretty good to me. But this was a very different game from Kirby. Um, very different. First off, I do want to point out, he had a couple good moments. He did catch Jazz on the base paths, and he's got a new pitch that he has started implementing a lot more. Let's go through the pitches. Four seam through it 37% of the time. That was or almost 12% less than last start. And that is pretty much the story of this start, was that the sinker kind of had to do a lot of the heavy lifting here in terms of getting strikes. Because yeah, only 2 whiffs on the four seamer, one called strike. One called strike on your fastball, on your four seam fastball, one called strike. That doesn't cut it, man. Does not cut it. And yet it was a 75.8 strike percentage. How is that possible? That is insane. How do you have a 75 strike percentage and one called strike? That's so either way, he drops the four seam usage, which maybe he should have dropped it a little bit more in favor of the sinker usage, which the sinker is nice versus righties, but the Yankees lineup was like righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty. Like they mixed it up quite a bit. So I was a little surprised to see 20% sinker usage. So sorry for these yawns, guys. I really appreciate you sticking around. Sinker usage was up 5.8%, so fairly high. 0 whiffs on the sinker. We're not expecting whiffs, but the called strikes were aplenty. 6 called strikes. It was a 33.3 called strike percentage, 61 strike percentage. Yeah, it was a good pitch. He did a good job with the sinker, getting inside to righties, and yeah, I'm not giving up too much hard contact on the pitch. The changeup is the new pitch, though. Yes, the sinker did step up and pick up where the four seamer was lacking here. But the changeup was the big pitch here. He threw it 19% of the time, which I is the most in my memory for a changeup from George Kirby. I can't remember him throwing a changeup that much. From last start, it was up 11%, 11.3% usage. So crazy. Went from 8% to 19% this start, and it was working. Playing off the sinker pretty well. It got two ifs, three called strikes, good for a 29 CSW percentage, which is not amazing, but for a third pitch that you've like next to never thrown, I will take that, man. I will take that all day. Yeah, it looks like a good weapon, and it looks like it could play off the sinker very well, which is awesome. The slider did nothing this start. He threw it 13.5% of the time, got zero whiffs, zero called strikes, a zero CSW percentage. Yeah, it did nothing this start. Slider was null and void. He threw the curve a lot less, which I don't know why. Maybe because he plays the curveball off the four seamer. That could be a possibility. The curve did work when it was in the game. I mean, he only used it 9% of the time, which was about half the usage that he had from last start. So that's a little interesting. It had two ifs, two called strikes, a 50 CSW percentage, a 62.5 strike percentage. Obviously, it's not that much to go off of, only 9% usage. So everything is with a grain of salt. You know, if you hear 50 CSW percentage, you're like, oh my gosh, it's an amazing pitch. Throw it more. Now, the curveball is a good pitch. Like looking at last year, looking at last start, like it's a good quality pitch. I don't know why he doesn't throw it as much. My only guess is that it plays off the four seamer and he didn't throw the four seamer as much this start, or maybe the four seamer wasn't working as much this start, and maybe he needs the four seamer to work before he starts trusting the curveball more to play off of it, I guess. Because if they're not trusting the four seamer, then, hypothetically, then you're looking for the curveball, So maybe that's what's going on with Kirby. I like that he's able to go to like a sinker and a changeup here and be able to lean on those pitches. Now, obviously, fastball down the pipe to Goldie for the 3-run homer. I mean, like that's where I'm saying like it just feels like we got a little unlucky this start. Like even with Cam Schlittler pitching as he did, 6 1/3 innings pitched, zero earned runs, two hits, zero walks, seven strikeouts. He had 13 whiffs on the game, a 34 CSW percentage, over 79 pitches. He could have easily gone further, but it's early in the season, so the Yankees take him out for the bullpen. We hit up the bullpen a little bit. We get to Duvall. We get to Bednar a little bit. It's like we can get to these guys. We can get it done. Despite Cam Schlittler destroying us in his start, they take him out of the game. And it's like, one pitch to Goldie. He pitches around Ben Rice before that at bat, walks him, and then goes to Goldie, throws a fastball right down the pipe. I mean, a freaking meatball, man. I mean, I know you guys watch. I know you're watching it. But my gosh, man, just laid it in there, and Goldie does exactly what he's supposed to do and destroys it. So it's a bummer. It's baseball, man. It's hard to like come away from a recap and go like, yeah, it's just baseball. It's just the way it works. But like, it's kind of hard to not, just be like, well, yeah, that's just how it is. Sometimes that's just how baseball is. Sometimes you throw a pitch down the pipe to Goldie, and he destroys a good start, and then you just got to move on. You got to pick up the pieces. Like, yes, Yankees did get to him early, absolutely, but Kirby settled in right there, and the fact that he is able to get it done, even when the four seamer is not at the top of its game, even when the slider does absolutely nothing, he can still get it done, and that is the proof that he is a good pitcher. He's a very good pitcher, and he's going to have a good season. So don't look at the 4 runs. Don't look at the 4 runs and just go, oh my gosh. 6 innings pitched. How many pitches was it? 89 pitches. Bro, right in line with where he's supposed to be. And he did not have his best stuff today. He's going to be fine. He's going to be absolutely fine. And this changeup is interesting. I don't think it's going to be an amazing pitch, but it's definitely a tool and something that he can throw in the zone as well, which is always a plus on the pitcher side. Even if he doesn't throw it 19% of the time regularly. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to most of the time because usually the slider or the curve are picking up the slack a little bit. But four seamer is usually better than this as well. So listen, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be absolutely fine. Let's get to the Jerry Dipoto comments here. After this Colt Emerson extension, obviously the big question is what is the situation with JP Crawford? What are we doing? What are we doing with the infield in general? Well, Dipoto reiterated that JP Crawford will remain the Mariners shortstop in 2026 and suggested that whenever Colt Emerson is ready, he'll likely play third base in Seattle this season. At that point, Brendan Donovan would then be used in more of a utility role. Now, you know, and I know that Donovan is a better hitter than JP Crawford. You know, and I know that as of right now, Brendan Donovan is a better hitter than Colt Emerson. Now, we don't fully know what we have in Emerson yet. Obviously, spring training and minor league stats are not what you go off of to predict a player's career necessarily. Obviously, they are indicators and, they are professional ball. So it's like they do mean something, but grain of salt, grain of salt, grain of salt. So I don't think Jerry Dipoto is telling the truth here. I think he's giving the PR answer. I think he's saying, yeah, obviously JP Crawford is on this team to be the starting shortstop for, the final year of his contract. But I think he's going to be the one that hits the bench before Donovan does. Because to say that Donovan would then be used in more of a utility role is not only implying that Donovan would not have a set position and play everywhere, which I do think that could be true. I think he might move around a little bit more than other players because he can and because he is a veteran. And let's say with a guy with JP Crawford, his yes, his defense sucks, which means that you can't really move him anywhere else right now. He like to learn a new position. He would have to learn a new position, whereas Donovan has played a lot of different places in the major leagues and played them passable, played them well enough. So Donovan would be the guy that you would move around. So I understand that thought process. But to say that he is going to be in a utility role implies that he's not going to be playing as much as Emerson and JP Crawford will be when Crawford is healthy and when Emerson is in the majors. And I disagree with that. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Emerson is going to play a lot more shortstop than Dipoto is saying. Once again, he suggested that whenever Colt Emerson is ready, he'll likely play third base. Those are both little clarifier, words there, suggested and likely, Let's take it with the grain of salt that we should, that he is putting in there. He's throwing grain of salts right in there, man. Little ones, little grains of salt. He's sprinkling them into the sentence. Yeah, it's not true. It's not real. It JP Crawford is the one that's gonna hit the bench. If anything. If Emerson comes up and he does bang up job, does super well off the rip, great. I think we're gonna give him a solid chance, which I'm sure there's probably gonna be some growing pains there. So let's freaking prep ourselves for those topics once they come. But yeah, I think Donovan is the guy he's going to be starting at third base. JP Crawford is going to be the guy that's riding the pine a little bit, and they're going to give Emerson a good full run, I think. And it's not because I think JP Crawford is a terrible player. I don't think that. I've been a JP Crawford, I would say, defender throughout this offseason at the very least. I don't think I don't know. This feels like Mariners fans just time to gang up on JP Crawford, which I'm not trying to make that be a thing. I do think he's the guy that probably should be on the bench, but also at the same time, I think he is an above average hitter. He is above average. So listen, man, JP Crawford's not a bad player, but if Emerson comes up and he's doing well, then okay. Donovan is the guy that you would start at third base, though. You're not starting Emerson over Donovan and having Donovan ride the pine for a little while, Not happening. Not happening. All right, guys. Freaking subscribe if you haven't already. If you like Mariners daily content. My name is Sam again, and I'll see you back tomorrow. Have a good one.